Hello everyone, welcome to Painting Crafty. If you're new here, I'm Melanie and I'm glad you're joining me today. Welcome for my returning art and craft friends. I'm so glad you're taking out a break with me today because look at my hands. I've been busy painting and crafting. I'm a messy painter when it comes to acrylics, but that's just how I roll. I'm going to be showing you today how I created a Prim Pumpkin Gal, a Prim Pumpkin Gal. I'm trying to figure out my words of what I want to call her. I'm going to be doing some destruction first and then do some construction after that. I'm going to be using acrylic paint and I'm going to be showing you how to do a little mixed media piece. I found a sweet little ironing board a few years back. I created something on it and then now I'm going to be changing it up and using it for this Prim project. Today I'm a part of a YouTube collaboration. It's all about wood today. We have two hosts today. We have Brenda with Rustic and Lace DIY, Christina with Divine Design, and we have a guest host today, Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnot. You definitely want to take some time and check out their channels. The link is inside of the description box, as well as the playlist for all of the other creators that are inside of today's collaboration. The great thing about collaborations is that you hit that playlist, they'll all just keep on going and you'll just be able to watch one after the other after the other. We're all creating with wood, but I'm sure we have all different sorts of ideas. Well, let's get started and I'll show you where I began. My plan was to repurpose this wooden ironing board that I already used for a project. I used my heat tool, my scraper, and my hammer and was easily able to take off those pieces. I attached them with hot glue so they're easy to get off. These are the pieces I'm still going to keep, but I'm going to take some of these other pieces and create something smaller. The driftwood is from a friend. I just love this piece and I wanted to reuse that. So I'm going to be laying that on the base of this piece of scrap wood and layer that on. I found these little examples of these cute little wooden houses on Pinterest and I love the idea of creating some of these. So I simply used some scrap wood that I had in my pile, and those little small houses were actually little cottages that I painted back in the early 90s, and I used those to repurpose those as well. Some of the little add-ons are little metal pieces that I got from Tim Holtz, and I just ended up adding some glue on there and then some cinnamon to add the rest. It's a great piece, so I thought I would reuse those pieces. Now after I got the glue off, or the pieces off, I just used a scraper and got the glue off, and now I'm putting a little bit of matte medium over the top just to seal it before I paint. First step was to draw my little pumpkin gal, so I just simply used a pencil and then I took my paint and a scruffy old brush and did the outline work. I like to start this way. I like to plan it out and then I like to use my paint to sketch it in. This is just very simply freehand. It's primitive, it's rustic, not a lot of extra fine detail in there. The way I like to paint, I like to be able to just take my brush, dip it into my paint, not necessarily wipe or rinse it out with water, but just to wipe it on a paper towel. I like that look of the layering of the colors. It adds so much more depth to my paintings. I was hoping to keep my color selection down to a minimum of maybe 3 primary colors, so I chose a pumpkin spice, a king's gold color, and a gray, but then I decided I needed to add a little bit of black and a little bit of white. I try to limit my colors. That's a tip for you if you're doing painting. If you can limit your colors, it does help things make a little bit simpler. For my pumpkin gal, I wanted to add some human-like eyes on her. I just like that look for that little whimsical style. And of course, I had to add some whimsical, bright-colored rosy cheeks. For my little character, I thought she should have a little kitty in a pocket. And I thought a black kitty would look great with this. It would go with her hat and her shoes, and a black cat just works perfect for Halloween. I was trying this new angle and I had a hard time keeping my big old head out of the picture, so I apologize for a fuzzy little screen on there, but hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. At the end, just to add a little bit more shading, I use more of a dry brush and I scrub in my colors of the darkness of where I want to add some little bit of shadow. It's a great technique to use to add that little extra depth to your painting. For the final details, I bring out a few more mixed media items. This happens to be a Sharpie China marker, a white one. They're so inexpensive and they're a great way to add a soft bit of white to your drawings or paintings. I just simply hold my pencil loose, do very much a sketchy type motion with it, and add those little bits of white into my painting. It's not as bright as using a acrylic paint or an acrylic marker. It's just a soft bit of white, and it does really add a lot of interest. I'm kind of a scribbler at heart, so this part of doing the painting is very relaxing for me and so enjoyable to add those finishing touches. I'm doing a little bit of white here, but I'm going to be adding a soft charcoal pencil as well. That'll be coming up next, and I'm going to be adding some darker lines with that charcoal pencil. I'd like to say a special thank you to the host today for putting on this What Would You Make collaboration. Make sure you check out the links to their channels inside of my description box and take a little time to watch the playlist. It's always interesting to see what so many different creators will be creating with wood. It's a fun event, so I'm glad you're here today watching. Here comes that charcoal pencil. I like adding those very dark, rich lines around her eyes, and it just pops them out a little bit more and adds that strong interest to her eyes. I'm holding my pencil a little bit tighter in this little fine detail area around her eyes, but when I get to the sides and around the hat and on her dress to add some dark, loose lines, I hold my pencil farther back so I have a little less control of what I'm doing to add those more interesting lines to her into my painting. After watching me create this little mixed media piece today, and you might be interested in doing other mixed media items or other art types of things, come on over to my channel. At least once a week, I teach a drawing and painting of some sort. I love to do watercolor, and that's usually what I teach during the week, but I always throw a little bit of painting and mixed media into my channel as well. So if you'd like to do those things, come on over and see what I'm doing. I often say that art isn't just for some, it's for everyone to enjoy. As long as you practice and you have an interest in doing it, you too can learn how to do this too. I break the things down step by step, make it easier to follow, and you can have success as well and create something fun. I often do whimsical, it's my kind of thing, and I do love primitive. So grab your pencils and your art materials and come over and take an art break with me. I'd love to have new friends join me. This last little stage, I'm using some water-soluble crayons. They're called Woodies. They're a funny name. They were actually designed for children originally, but adults like to use them too. They're a water-soluble crayon, but their softness is very interesting color, and I love to use those in my paintings as well. Almost done. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. One last button. This pumpkin gal is going on my screened-in porch, and she looks delightful sitting there. I love her little kitty inside of her pocket, and that little fun spider on the top just adds another layer of whimsicalness. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this video. Leave me a comment and let me know if you might be interested in creating mixed media or if you like primitive, whimsical art style as well. Thanks again for hanging out with me today, and hopefully you'll come back and see me again. And next time, perhaps you'll create right along with me.